Hello Resi Thrivers, welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk about some of the things that often get us into trouble as migrant workers, and specifically I want to talk to my fellow Africans, fellow Zimbabweans. Some of the things that we often encounter, but in our attempt in trying to handle these challenges, we often find ourselves into trouble, and especially when it comes to our jobs, things that may cause us to lose our jobs. And these challenges are relevant whether you live in the UK or another part of the world, United States, Canada, Australia. These things I'm going to cover in this video will apply. And also, it doesn't matter which job you do in the UK, whether you're a nurse like myself, a carer, a teacher, a cleaner, and so on. It doesn't matter what job you do. These things or these challenges I will cover in this video still apply. And also, even if you're not an immigrant, but as long as you're working in the UK, then the things I'm going to cover in this video will still apply to you. So let's get into it. What are those challenges, or what are the behaviors, or what are those things that often get us into trouble? And unfortunately, there are times when we may lose our jobs. The first challenge that I'm going to talk about, and this one I will give examples in relation to my fellow Africans, fellow Zimbabweans, as an immigrant worker. The first challenge, or the first thing that may actually cause you to lose your job, sometimes unexpectedly, is failure to communicate effectively. Now, what do I mean by failure to communicate effectively? I'll give an example. I was watching this video the other day by a doctor called Dr. Africa. He talks about health a lot. And in one of his lectures, he talked about emotions. He said that emotions are good for us. It doesn't matter whether it's a negative emotion or whether it's a positive emotion, whether it's fear, anger, rage, whatever it is, all those emotions that we experience, hurt, pain, whatever emotion you can think of. He said that there's nothing wrong with those emotions. Those emotions are there for a reason. They're there to protect us. They're there to act as a catalyst to change a situation or to solve a problem. But what matters the most, or what makes all the difference in the world, is how you then channel those emotions, or what you do with those emotions. And I'll give an example. Maybe you're at work and someone comes to you, says something really terrible to your face, something you consider unprofessional, something you consider offensive, whatever word you want to insert here. If someone comes and provokes you and attacks you and so on, what you do with that provocation, or what you do with that attack, or whatever happens, makes all the difference in the world. Of course, there are times when you absolutely need to defend yourself if your life is in danger. That goes without saying. Then in such a situation, you may need to react immediately in order to protect yourself. But I'm talking about situations where you actually have an opportunity to step away from that situation, to remove yourself from that situation. Mind you, I know it's difficult to do. It's not easy to do, especially when emotions are running high. But what's important to remember in such situations is that how you handle such a situation, or how you react, will determine the outcome. There are times when the person who is wrong will come out as the one who is wronged simply because of how you have reacted to the situation. And also, I'll say this, and this is what I've discovered. There are people who actually stud us. They know our triggers. There are people who are calculating like that, unfortunately. So because they know what triggers us, they know which buttons to press, guess what? They may come at us intentionally, and they may be calculating enough to pick their moment just so that they can provoke you to see your reaction. They know full well that this is going to upset you. And sometimes they will pick their moment because they actually want you to say something in front of other people so that they can say, see, this is what I meant. I told you this person is like this. This applies to everyone. Everyone can fall victim to such people. Unfortunately, when such things happen, when you're set up like that and you overreact and you find yourself on the wrong side of the law or on the wrong side of the policies, then guess what? This is why it is important to know the channels to follow when you're faced with such a situation. Just try to take deep breaths, take a step back, count to 10 if you have to, just step away from such a situation. Because by doing that, you're giving yourself time to cool off. You're giving yourself time to allow your emotions to settle down, to allow yourself to think rationally. Because the last thing you want is for the person who is in the wrong, the one who provoked you, to be found or to be vindicated, and then for you to be found at fault. So know the channels, the proper channels, and this is where you need to read the policies at your workplace. I don't know where you work, whether you're a teacher, a carer, those handbooks that they give you when you start work, when you sign those contracts, you will be given a contract, you will be given policies, procedures, protocols, and so forth. You will be given guidelines. So it is important to take time to read those policies, those guidelines, because if you work for a good company, according to what I know in the UK, if you work for a company that follows the guidelines according to the law, according to the rules in the UK, that company should have policies and procedures to follow, clearly laid out policies, and these policies usually are divided into categories so that you can choose or you can select which category your problem falls under, so that you can follow the proper channels. And also, before things escalate, it is important to communicate your concerns to the person. I mean, ideally, in an ideal world, it is always ideal, it is always wise to talk to the person who has wronged you. You need to communicate to them clearly. And obviously, if their behavior doesn't change, then you escalate things. Maybe you talk to the manager, and if nothing changes, then you follow the chain of command. That's usually how things work in the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, some of us lose out, or some of us find ourselves in big trouble because we let our emotions run rampant. We let our emotions get the better of us. Of course, as I said, it is normal, it is human, it is fine to be emotional, it is fine to experience all those emotions, but it's knowing how far to take them. The last reason why immigrants or migrant workers or Africans, Zimbabweans lose their job easily in the UK is not joining a union, a workers' union. In the UK, we have got government-approved unions that workers can join. I remember when I was a student nurse, I actually joined a union during my training because I was made aware of these unions by my university. So if you're a nurse in the UK, you can join unions such as Unison, you can join RCN, the Royal College of Nurses. If you're a carer, you can also join Unison. You can also join Care Workers Union as well. You can also join the Workers Union. There are many unions that you can join, government-approved unions. So take the time to find out which union you can join, which union is suitable for the job that you do, because it is important to belong to a union if you're a worker in the United Kingdom, especially in these turbulent times. Things are so unpredictable nowadays. You want to be able to protect yourself and your job, and there are good reasons to join a union. The first reason is your union can actually negotiate on your behalf as an employee in the United Kingdom. They can negotiate better pay on your behalf. They can negotiate better working conditions on your behalf. They can negotiate pension, sickness benefits, and so on. So they can negotiate all of that on your behalf. The second reason is respect at work. Unions ensure that employees are treated with dignity and respect. They make sure that their rights as human beings are not infringed upon. Unions also work to end harassment, bullying, discrimination at work. They make sure that you know your rights and that those rights are enforced, or they help you to exercise your rights. And also your union will provide legal help when you need it. If you're going through something, then your union, because you're paying towards a subscription every month, it means that when you need the legal help, because it is expensive to pay for a lawyer or a solicitor to represent you, but if you pay that subscription towards your union, then that legal help will be available when you need it. And there are times as well when your union can actually offer training programs to further your career, to help improve your career, and so on. There are many other benefits that come with joining a union, and this is something that I would advise everyone to do, especially if you're a migrant worker, if you're an African, my fellow Zimbabweans. This is something I would advise you to do. If you haven't joined a union, if you're working in the UK and you don't belong to any union at all, then you're putting your job at risk. You need to be able to protect yourself and your job. And as I said, there are government approved unions that you can join if you're a worker in the UK, and I will put some of the links in the description.